Let's see what our first story is. Thrillseeker is in Japan. Now, Japan, man, Japan, I feel like is the future. I don't know. Like, I want to go to Japan. I want to be amongst the Japanese as a giant, as an American giant. I want all the women to flock to me. I want my small penis to feel bigger there. There's so many things in Japan that really just make me feel like I need to go there right now. I've told Christy many times. See, look. Marcus was living in Japan. Marcus is cool. Marcus already got to live in Japan. I have not even seen it or experienced the fact that my smaller penis would feel much bigger there. And also that I would be a giant. And that many of the Japanese women would throw themselves at my feet. And I would be like, oh, please, ladies, please. I can't handle all of you. Yes, I can. Yes, I can, actually. I will handle every single one of you. I've got a hotel room, and we're all going to have fun in a party. But anyway, that's my thing on Japan. That's how I feel. I also feel like seafood, wonderful food of all different types, sushi. I also think arcades, you know, technicolored cyberpunk streets, neon streets. Generally very polite people, I would imagine. And we got the ramen. Oh man, I've watched Food Ranger in Japan. I've seen like the most exquisite foods. He dines and slurps those noodles like no other Food Ranger. That's the sound he makes that made him millions of subscribers. Every time he eats something he likes, he goes, Maybe I'll show you a Food Ranger video after this. But let's check out Thrillseeker, who is a pioneer in the Web3 gaming VR space. I really dig this dude. He's eclectic. I like it. He's unique. And he has a great mindset when it comes to the future of what's going to, the future, period.
Not talking. Recently, I had the opportunity to travel to Japan to make a mini docuseries on Japan's VR culture. Is it different from Europe and the Americas? Is it bigger or way better? Is it 5 years in the future, or is it stuck in the past? And throughout this series, we'll answer all of that. But for this first episode, we're traveling to Tokyo, the largest megacity in the world.
The shot here every time I see Tokyo, man, is it, Marcus, you tell me, dude, does it feel, the only thing I feel, Marcus, does it feel claustrophobic? Like that's the only thing. Like, I know it's an island filled with people to the brim. Like the rooms are smaller, everything's a little bit more compartmentalized, and everything's, no? Okay, good. Because I get this feeling of like claustrophobia sometimes. Like, oh my God, I'm squeezing into this space like a sardine in a can. And I'm like, no. That's the only thing about Japan. But since I would be a giant with a larger penis, have I said that? Yeah, okay.
World and capital of Japan, which is also the home of Thirdverse, a company that has established itself as definitively the largest VR-only game publisher in the country. And the interesting thing is that even though Thirdverse is a relatively new company, just founded 2 years ago, they have already published multiple smaller VR games to test the market and to learn how VR games work, utilizing a publishing strategy that is pretty different from anyone else in the VR industry. And it's something that we'll definitely get into later. We'll also get to see for the very first time their newest project, a Hiro.
First off, I want to shame Thrillseeker and his girlfriend real quick because they invited me to have fun with them.
Shame.
And I never heard back.
Shame.
Thrillseeker, I know you watch. I know your girlfriend watches as well. I'm sorry, I can't think of her name right now. Otherwise, I would just call you by your name, and that just makes me sound like a huge idiot by not knowing your name, calling you the girlfriend. I'm shaming myself on that. Let me shame myself real quick on that. That's just really disrespectful. I don't mean that, but I will disrespect you because you said, "Hey, let's go have some fun in VR. We're going to show you the world." And then I had this vision in my head while I was in the Blue Ridge Mountains taking a vacation with my girlfriend when I got your comments and you said you're gonna show me what's up in VR chat. And then I had this whole thing of you, Thrillseeker, and your girlfriend, who I can't think of her name right now, And then I had this whole vision in my head, and it was like, I'm show you the world, you know, like, da, 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 right? And then you guys pull me into the VR chat, and I'm like, a whole new world, you know, like, and I'm like looking around with Thrillseeker and his girlfriend. And then what happened? Well, nothing happened. Got me all excited for nothing. Bunch of cock teases.
Hero shooter built from the ground up for Quest and Steam VR. But Thirdverse didn't just pop up out of nowhere making games. And it all starts with someone that has spent their entire life becoming successful in the game industry, only to step away from it to focus entirely on virtual reality. Meet Hiro Kanimitsu.
Hi, my name is Hiro Kanimitsu. I'm founder and CEO of Thirdverse, next generation of game developer and publisher. And then now we are making.
He looks like a giant floating head with hands. Did they mean to do that? He just looks like it's just, you know, it's a little bit scary. I don't feel like it's very welcoming.
Generation of game developer and publisher, and then now we are making 3 VR game titles. So before the Thirdverse, I was founder and CEO.
You tell me where to go, and I'm going there, and I'm gonna do a vlog series in Japan, dude. I'm gonna take everybody with me.
2007. And listed at Tokyo Stock Exchange 2014.
He's almost like Chris Roberts in a way.
And then last year, I stepped down Gumi CEO position. And then started Thirdverse. And then focusing on making regular VR game.
And he's not joking about Gumi being a successful company. Japan's game industry works in a pretty interesting way. Intellectual property is everything. If you're looking for international success, it's a proven formula for established Japanese studios to build games under larger companies that have established global IPs, eventually leading Gumi to develop Final Fantasy Exvius, an entirely standalone mobile title that received over 60 million downloads, which makes Thirdverse an interesting case study.
I have to shame myself. I played that for a bit. That was the wrong shame, but I'll take that as well. I have to shame. I played this on my phone for a bit. It was a grind fest. The story was horrible, by the way. I mean, like, it was one of the easiest stories to navigate through and most predictable of any Final Fantasy. And, you know, Final Fantasy has had some good stories. I mean, there's a couple Final Fantasies that really stand out, that really are like, wow, these are amazing stories I'm a part of. You feel like, you know, you're advancing your characters. I like the leveling, turn-based kind of like action, old school 80s, 90s side scroller mixed with that, you know, that up the next level feel. You know, you had to buy these crystals, and these crystals would, like, you know, help you like grow your character and give you more. Yeah, like there's so many really good stories. And, you know, I don't mind this too much, but I know I'm being like led down this path. They're pulling on my reins, and, you know, there's not much fight for me on stuff like this because I kind of grew up with the Final Fantasy saga. I remember the first Final Fantasy, which was like mind-blowing. And, you know, there's a lot of great things to say about the Final Fantasy franchise. There really is. But the mobile phone, the story was not good. Like I have to say, it does have a ton of people that still play. It's okay. I mean, it's okay. But it's not great in terms of its story, and I found it lackluster, and I just wanted to say that for you guys.
After such success and such large numbers, why leave an industry that is less than 1% of the mobile world? And I think the answer will be pretty familiar to a lot of you.
Now, mobile game is a little bit boring, right? So I found Gumi 2007, right? And then I keep making mobile game more than 10 years. Of course, you'll get a little bit bored, right? And then
this guy's probably making serious bank.
And how
much you think this guy's worth? We should look this up. Like, this guy, I would say, has brought out some serious mobile titles that have banked big time. I don't know, man. I would say more than that, DEFCON. I would say a lot more than that, I feel.
VR excited me about is
but I like that you started it. I think more than 50, really.
Wow, this kind of
I think we're talking upwards of 100.
2016. Like,
you should see the way these mobile games sell, man. It's crazy.
Early stage, but wow, this kind of the experience. Is, tons of that kind of experience.
He's like F mobile. I'm tired of it. I'm going to get in the VR
so
space.
That makes me decide this is future of the game, or like this is future of the entertainment. So that's why I quit and I start Thirdverse.
So we're about to head to the Thirdverse office to get the first ever studio tour, show off their newest game, and talk to the developers. But first, I figured I'd give a random Japan fact. There are lots of great ways to travel in Japan.
Love it.
The Shinkansen or bullet train is one of them. Traveling at up to 200 miles an hour, it'll get you anywhere you want fast.
This is why I like Thrillseeker's content. Like, he keeps it fast paced and he like breaks it up, and then you're like on his trip with him. I think that's super smart.
But taxis are also everywhere. And in every single taxi throughout Japan, the seats are covered with a pristine white linen with lace fringe. I asked the locals why, and the answer was honestly, don't know. Just always been that way. Oh, also, every taxi has an automatically opening door. If you open or close the door manually, it's seen as disrespectful. So if you ever go to Japan, learn from my mistakes and don't touch the door. But we've now finally made it to the Thirdverse studio.
Don't touch the door?
Thirdverse, let's go. Hello. Hi. Oh, amazing.
So, I mentioned before that Thirdverse has a very interesting development cycle, and I have a feeling that it comes from their mobile development
To be fair, Thrillseeker is doing his thing, going around the world and having a great time and super successful and super banked. And he's going out to Japan. He's got no time for me to show me around the VR world. It's just poor old DG sitting here all alone. Nothing to do, bored, sitting here alone, Thrillseeker, while you're out having a great time in Japan and having technical difficulties on my stream. I'm just sitting here, you're out there in Japan having a great time, being a part of it all. Just no problems here. Totally broke around Christmas. It's okay. Don't worry about me, Thrillseeker. Glamorous Ohio, dude. It's like people ask me how the weather is in Ohio. I say, why don't you just like turn around and run? Like get out. Don't even ask that question.
Background, but it's worth investigating. The idea is make a game that is feature complete and polished and release it for a pretty cheap price that is fair for what you get. But they're not quite at the point of spending multiple years developing one massive title. And that kind of makes sense. I mean, if you spend 4 years right now making one massive game for the Quest 2, well, we'll probably be at the Quest 3 or 4 by then. And who knows if VR itself will just be an entirely different market by the time the game is finished development. So, Thirdverse focuses on fast iteration and experimentation with VR gameplay, with a pretty simple formula and belief. Hiro now says he plays a lot of VR chat and believes it's successful because of its entirely social nature, but also looks at games like Bone Lab and loves that it's an experience that you can only have in VR. And he says that bringing VR experiences that can only be experienced in VR while bringing people together with multiplayer to have an experience together is Thirdverse's bread and butter, which has led to
Yes, and that's exactly what brings people in. I mean, that's the magic secret sauce, man. Making the connections and giving somebody an experience like they've never had previously is what hooks them. It's what makes it successful. That transition can only happen when the person puts the effort in to save the money and buy the equipment, which I must have to do. I got to do this so that equipment can be giving me issues and technical difficulties, and I end up getting mad and throwing it against the wall. Good morning, Figment. How you doing, buddy? Welcome to the stream. I'm completely jelly. I'm actually completely jelly, Sketch. You're right. You're correct. But here's the thing. Only when it becomes affordable. And what is affordable, DG? When you can get all this gear for a couple $100, all of it, and instantly plug in, and it's so easy that you instantly have experiences that are different than anything you've had before. Only then will mass adoption take in the VR space. What VR space is missing is the ability to have equipment that is all compatible with one another. And I'm talking everything. I'm talking everything. The controllers, the face mask, the haptic suit, the whole thing. It has to be one complete purchase in a box. Yeah, I'm talking about the entire thing. And that's what the space is working on right now. Otherwise, it's not going to launch. It won't get mass adoption until it's in a box. It's $200-ish, maybe $300, and it's the entire experience. And through it, you plug in, and you're instantly having the experience within like 3 to 5 minutes. Like, so the whole thing has to be cheap. It has to be completely compatible. Say that 15 times fast. And it has to give you the experience when you put it on within like, boom, 5 minutes. People don't have attention span longer than that. If they do all these things combined. I don't know why I have to be the guy that always says things like this. Hold on a second. I am the banana fountain.
Banana fountain.
All good things come from the banana fountain, and I say things like this that you would think are common sense to people in this industry, but they are not. So I have to say these things, and then somebody out there says, you never said that, DG. You weren't the original person that ever said that. Yes, I am. I am the original person that's saying this right now. It's coming from the banana fountain. Cheap, $200 in a box, open it up, complete suit, all compatible. Within 5 minutes, different experience, bang, mass adoption. There's the spark. Go with it. Run with that. There's an idea for Meta, for Zuckerberg, if you're listening. Thrillseeker, this is what I would tell people in the industry. This seems like it's pretty much common sense, but it has to be said. And once people have an experience like they've never had before, right? That takes this little hook. Boom, it's hooked you. And now you want to try it again. You want to go back. You want to get that vibe again that you can't get anywhere else. Then you do it again and again and again and again and again. Could be Meta, could be they need it. Ashley's like, yeah, sure, Meta. Dude, their stock price has gone in the shitter, in the literal shitter, flushing with the other poops in a spiral down the toilet. Meta's price, ridiculous. Their whole strategy now is they have to go 110% balls to the wall. Zuckerberg's pushing all his chips in. And he's like, yeah, Facebook is dying. The people using Facebook, the population's dying. like, we're losing the amount of people. And now with what Apple did to them and cut off the fact that the advertisements can't really flow through Apple anymore, which was a strategic move on Apple, Tim Cook's part. Now that has happened, Facebook, Meta had to change their name, and they had to go a different route. And they're putting all their chips in. Zuckerberg's putting all his chips into this space. And so, yes, Meta, Microsoft, what other companies can you think of that are going to try and gravitate towards this space? It's going to be big, but I haven't seen it done yet. I haven't really seen it done yet. Oh, yes, I'm very familiar with Thrillseeker's coverage on VR. He did promise me, Figment, to have a fun field trip into a VR chat, which I have not heard anything else about. That was 2 months ago. But I am and Thrillseeker comments from time to time. He does watch our meager little channel with only 16,000 subscribers compared to his like couple bajillions. I do remember Second Life. I played Second Life, believe it or not. I'm shaming myself. Hold on, let me. I don't know if I played it.
Shame.
I had a little advertising shop to help people go around from different sim to sim. It charged a fee. I was the reason you saw ad boards everywhere. I'm so sorry. There was this amazing girl from Thailand that I knew who was a coder. We made the ad boards, and that was a moment in history. I was the guy behind that. Yep, and I apologize that. And Second Life literally crashed and burned to the ground quite soon after. Quite soon after that. Anyhow, ancient history.
Game like Altair Breaker, a title that allows you to fly around and jump up in the air and slash opponents with a combo, all together co-op with friends. And while their release strategy doesn't necessarily put out 40-hour campaigns, it allows them to experiment and see what works in VR and what doesn't. In fact, their company motto is first to try, first to fail, first to recover. To take on challenges faster than anyone else, fail faster than anyone else, and recover faster than anyone else. And I can respect that, especially because there is no shortage of talent at Thirdverse. And I was admittedly pretty shocked to realize that I was talking to and giving interviews to leads that had worked at Sony for years and had worked on Astrobot, Demon Souls, and Bloodborne. And I asked every person I interviewed the same thing: why in the world are you making VR games when you have this sort of background? I mean, you can literally work anywhere in the world on any video game project you'd want, but I got the same answer every single.
And it was shortly ushered out by the CEO who said, "What the fuck are you doing, Thrillseeker? You're coming to my office space and you're talking to my employees and asking them why in the hell you're working here? Get out. I invited you in here, right? And you're doing this dishonorable thing by talking to my employees. This is so dishonorable." And then they chop his head off with a samurai sword. That's and scene.
Time.
で遊ぶっていう感情体験の方がより面白いものが作れると思ったので、まあそのために VR にもっと注力しようと思ってサーバースに入ったという感じですね。
あとはそのVR 空間の中で物を触れて掴めるっていうところがすごくやっぱりこう新鮮で、
I gotta learn the language.
ゲームコントローラ
I gotta learn
ー
how to
ボタンを
speak
押すと
Japanese.
剣を振るとかだったんですけれど、ちゃんと自分で掴んで剣を掴んでおいて振るっていうところ、これを実際にこれまでずっとボタンを押しながら頭の中だけでそれをこう想像していたのが、実際にそれを自分の手でできるところに感動する。
It's a passion for virtual reality and its possibilities. And you don't go from being world-class console and mobile developers to an industry that is a minuscule fraction of the size without that passion. It's all about making people say, wow. But where are they right now? Well, we get to see the very first gameplay of Thirdverse's upcoming hero shooter X8, a game that is still in alpha, as you can probably tell, but the bones are still there, and the bones are pretty darn good. Essentially a Valorant of VR with gesture-based hero abilities, different heroes, weapon purchases, bomb plants. I got about 2 hours to play the game with developers, and while the game certainly needs some work and polish, I had an absolute blast, especially considering Overwatch and Valorant are some of my favorite games of all time. I've always dreamed of playing those style of games in VR, and this is really hitting that.
Looks like Paladins. You guys ever play Paladins? I used to play a lot of Paladins with a girl in our community. And where's Shazzy been anyway? I haven't seen Shazzy in about a year, so I got to check on her. She's my Irish girl that I absolutely love. Her accent is amazing, and she loves metal, and we all applaud Shazzy. We're all applauding her. Shazzy, we miss you. You abandoned us. You abandoned us. You abandoned us. Shame.
For me. And I'll talk about how you can get access to play X8 in just a moment, but I think it's time we actually go full circle with this video. I am honestly not sure if Thirdverse's development cycle and strategy is the best out there. And as much fun as I had with X8, there's still a lot of work to do.
Is very
and
rough.
I don't know if it'll be the most successful hero shooter in VR ever, or if it'll fizzle out like a lot of other multiplayer-only games do in VR. But I do know that Thirdverse is something pretty special, especially to be coming out of Japan. It is not the normal thing in Japan to break the mold and to leave something comfortable like Sony and PlayStation or extremely successful mobile development to pursue an industry that is new and tiny and unproven. But they're doing it, literally dropping everything to try and push the industry as far as possible and to be a part of its success. Even if that means failing at a few things before finding what works. But if there's one thing that I took away from my time in Tokyo with Thirdverse, it's that they honestly can't do it alone, and they know it. And it's not all about sales and money, because if it was, they certainly would not.
Dude, the vibe he's bringing with this music and the shot of that building made me feel like there was some evil computer inside, man. Like Mr. Robot, like something's happening here. You know what I'm saying?
Not be here doing what they're doing. They've all had sales and money. It's about legitimately wanting to make something that people inside that building and destroy the mind control machine. And I will say that companies like Thirdverse help me see the VR industry just a little differently, and I'm hoping it does the same for you. We're kind of in a very legitimate content drought situation with VR right now. There just isn't that much on the radar. But the part that I love about the VR industry so much, besides it just being an awesome technology, is that everyone has an impact right now. Whether you're a big or small studio, or a game, or the community behind it, or you're a player just giving feedback, every single one of your voices has an immense impact. It's not like mobile or console gaming where everything is so data-driven. And from talking to Thirdverse, the industry honestly needs your help. Bro. And I'm not gonna lie, this was not the conclusion I thought this video was going to come to when I hopped on a plane to Japan, but I'm thinking it's a pretty good one. Thirdverse, just like any company out there doing VR stuff, needs your help. Not necessarily in buying their games or giving their money, of course that helps too, but in giving real, honest feedback. So one of the main things they kept asking me over and over again to include in this video is to ask the VR community to help in just that. In feedback, legitimate good feedback. And X8, that hero shooter that I was just talking about, is actually entering a free closed beta next month. And you can sign up with a link down below in the description, and I'd urge, if you're interested in a VR hero shooter, to sign up and just be real and honest and give good feedback, because from what they've told me, there's nothing more valuable, legitimately. I mean, so go sign up.
This is a huge space, and this is like, we've been in this for 10 years now talking about VR. I mean, like, really, it's been around for a decade, and look how immature it still looks. Look, it still has that kind of newborn feel to it. It's still an embryo kind of baby stage, and it's exciting. Like, this space is exciting. This is the beginning of the holodeck, you know? There's so many modifications they're going to have to make to this space in order to give us the experience that we're looking for. And it's only through trial and error. And this space is going to be continually modified and edited and revamped and rehashed and developed over and over again in a cycle until all body movements made by all peoples of all weight sizes and heights, right? All the different components become one. When this thing happens, it's going to really revolutionize the entire space of not just gaming, but there's going to be so many different applications through VR that's going to be amazing. One of the coolest things I'm looking forward to is owning things, owning digital assets in a game and being able to convert this. And people go, well, I don't want to work a second job when I'm playing games. I don't need a second job. Dude, like, I don't think people completely understand the fact that, like, a lot of times, given the different developers, what game you're playing, you can easily hop into this game, take assets, you know, depending upon the way they designed it. You could be a pirate in the game and take assets and then sell them. You could be in an FPS and get rewards for doing things, and it's a whole different way of thinking of the space. Some people are going to capitalize and commercialize it, and it's going to be gross. Other people are going to run with the ball and be a lot freer in their design, and they're going to let people own things and be able to make money and have fun at the same time, and it's not going to feel like a job, right? There's going to be a lot of that out there, and those are going to be the most successful ventures. Those are going to be the most profitable ventures. And it's going to happen. It's not a matter of if it is, it's when it is, you know. SC isn't like that in that, well, they have a gray market. So yes, Astral, if you think about it that way and you are buying the ships you can resell through the gray market, in essence, you can take a digital asset and prosper from it. So in a way, yes, but the Web3 space is going to make it easier. The whole transition, the whole process of obtaining the digital asset in the game, owning it in a wallet in the game, the UI, the interface is going to be superb, and it's going to be very easy to transact items and then convert whatever the crypto is in the game into cash. It should be an easier process, more streamlined. Good morning. Good morning, Luigi. Yeah, play and earn. And now I'm calling it the play and own space. By the way, if you have not heard, Pez, I'm changing it once again. I'm evolving it because now everybody's saying play and earn. And I'm taking it a step further, and I'm going to call it the play and own space. That came from the banana fountain. You're going to start hearing people say, just how I told you would start hearing people say play and earn, because now you are. Now you're going to start hearing people say play and own. And who thought of this?
Banana fountain.
And still, after this many years of covering the space, still after all the content I've given you guys and all the ideas that I've ever had that have come from the banana fountain, I'm still the only one giving myself credit for it. One of these days, I don't know what number of subscribers I need to have. I don't know when it happens, but one day people will start giving me credit. Now, I don't know if when that happens, I will be like this. But until then, I am still the only person that is giving myself any positive affirmation. You are a great, bald-headed man. Everybody loves you. Thank you. That's self-affirmations.
And help them out and keep X8 on your radar. But this also extends to all other VR stuff you ever try out. Give real and honest feedback, not toxically
FTX
positive and not toxically negative. Just imagine you made the game. How would you want someone to tell you what they liked and didn't like from their experience of your game? And I think that perspective shift is one of the coolest and most powerful things that I took away from visiting Tokyo and talking to Thirdverse, is just how massively important all of our voices are and how constructive feedback is more important than making a sale even. And I really hope that sharing Thirdverse and their story and what they're working on and their values gives you a positive perspective shift on the VR industry as well. This technology is so cool and we're just figuring it out. But the cool part is that we're actually figuring it out together. So if you enjoyed this video, then I've actually got some really good news for you. I didn't just visit one studio in Tokyo, I visited half a dozen from all over Japan. From games you may not have heard of but need to check out, to stories of developers, to trying out headsets and gloves. This was just episode 1 of the Japan VR.
Okay, well that's cool. Good for Thrillseeker, and you know, good for you, dude. You're in Japan. You don't have any time for me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Pez. I appreciate that. But as I was saying, you know, Thrillseeker has no time for me. His girlfriend as well. They promised me a VR, a whole new world. They promised me a whole new world. And they got me excited in my no-no spot. And apparently that scared them away. It's not the first time my no-no spot has scared people, and it won't be the last. Pepe, where's the transition, Pepe?